Mike, we're talking about food prices. We've covered it quite a bit over the last couple of weeks on Power Lunch, and it's a fascinating situation because on the one hand, you get people like myself who remember 1988 in the United States where the food prices, corn in particular and soybeans, went shooting up and then came crashing back down again, and it was a moment in time and there wasn't really that much impact. This time it might be different, I sense.
Well, I think it is different, Lindsay. It's very simply this. We're looking at a situation that the déjà vu, if you feel one, is probably back to the 70s, the weak worldwide growth. We're looking at interest rates below the rate of inflation in many countries and likely to remain there. But at the same time, we have some commodities breaking away and starting to form an inflation situation. Oil was one of them, but right now with the huge drought in America, it's the biggest in 56 years, is really starting to make an impact on worldwide prices. And the fact of the matter is maize prices have risen in South Africa with 44% for the first 7 months of this year compared to last year. But to put it in even better perspective, from 2 years ago, it's over 100% up. And we do know that those food prices are going to have an impact on, for example, meat, and we know it's going to have an impact on poultry prices. So we're there at this point where everybody is going to feel that price effect, not just the people that eat maize or so on, but obviously everybody that is anybody, because it's going to go into maize prices, it's certainly going to soya products, because soya beans are also up, wheat, everything is on the way up because of the drought, and the secondary round effects are certainly coming through in the derived prices, if you wish, those of poultry, eggs, dairy, pork, a heck of a lot of prices.
This is a very dangerous situation then, potentially, Mike, because although we say, well, it doesn't matter if the corn price is $8.50 a bushel on the Chicago Board of Trade, we're not seeing it in South Africa. Well, we are, of course, because as you said, the local maize price on SAFEX has gone shooting up. But it's going to be a knock-on effect that may not be felt for another 2 to 3 months. In other words, that price has to filter down into the food chain. At the moment, there's food being sold that hasn't reflected this price, but in the future it will be. So next year's CPI in South Africa, I would put forward, that might actually threaten that upper band of the 3 to 6% as prescribed by the South African Reserve Bank.
Yes, it will. It will probably go over 6%, I have no doubt. I think if you listen to many of the economists that are specialized in the agricultural field, they're talking of food prices rising above 12%, probably even as high as 16%. And that's just on what's happening now. If we see any further moves upwards in the grain prices, obviously that becomes a bit smaller. And that gives you an idea that the food prices, which make up about 16% of the basket, are certainly going to help push inflation up, along with electricity and many other factors, to above 6%. But I think what it also says to us, it's a cost push factor. It's a situation where I don't think the central bank is going to intervene in interest rates. But the problem in South Africa is that input costs are going to mean that the coming down of these prices after the drought is not going to change as much. And that's going to be another factor that we have to take into account 18 months from now. And that is things like seed prices, which is already the second biggest price element, electricity prices, where we're looking at fertilizer prices, fuel prices, all those type of things. And in South African context, probably even labor prices. All those things are going to play a huge role in food prices. So I think there's a cyclical part of food prices that's definitely going to go up and be a cost push factor, not going to influence interest rates. But there's a structural factor that at the end of the day, after this weak economic growth, might start playing a role in the longer term outlook of interest rates in a country like South Africa as well.
Mike, we've run out of time, but I did want to talk to you about something that you brought up. Maybe in the next week or so we can bring that up. You say here in your report, which you kindly forwarded me, you say in the local context, a storm is brewing given the merger between Pioneer and Pan Seed. Again, that could see seed prices going up 10 to 15%, something like that. But this is something that we really must watch, and I'm sure the Reserve Bank is. Mike Schussler from economist.co.za. Thanks very much for your time on Power Lunch today.